Good morning, you guys. Rebecca here, Sirius Blue. Wow. Happy to be recording today. I had a little time because I had a client cancellation. So here we get to jump in on something new that I've been wanting to share about, which is channeling another being that if you've listened to my past recording with Servani, channeling Servani in the liquid frequencies of Andromeda, you'll know that with her, I had the experience of seeing through her skin, her aspect, like a translucency to her skin that allowed me to see her home galaxy, the Andromeda galaxy, which seemed full of a very watery galaxy, and to learn things about such a far off place through uh, the transparency. It is if you are looking through a macroscope to see far distances, things you have no frame of reference for. It's really beautiful. So, and seeing creation codes and other things so close up, almost like I don't know what to liken it to. I think I said before, if you've seen the Cosmic Disclosure series with Corey Good, he talks about, he's a secret space program guy, the glass pads. I'm looking at this sort of like almost like a handheld computer, but you could see all this like kind of microscopic information about things you've never heard about in your dimensional reality as you have been taught. It's not a great analogy, but it's one of the ones I used before when I was made the channeling Servani video. So coming back to the being now, that's happened again with someone else I've been working with here, and I want to just I thought that was a one of situation with Servani in the Andromeda group that was presenting itself to me. A lot of liquid light, a lot of liquid, very loving frequencies. And now, because that's coming in again, I'm kind of going, well, what is that? What is it about certain beings that I am seeing this as my vision then begins to reveal more about the beings themselves, what they're like individually and collectively, the group. Also, their place from which they come, whether it's a galaxy or far distant place. So definitely off-world viewing. It's just fascinating. I hadn't heard of this before, so I wanted to bring it again of like, oh God, here we go again. It's so, like to coin a phrase of the lovely ufologist and researcher Linda Moulton Howe talks about the high strange. And I always think this is some of the news of the high strange in my private life. So, and you'll also hear as I'm speaking light language coming through. Often I feel like it's language from the stars, and it often feels like this language that comes through the most, like I'm just talking, feels like myself speaking from an off-world aspect. So if you like, it feels like my language. And that's how sometimes I receive information from the higher realms, information stream, and then it comes through in light language, and then I'm speaking it to you in English. So just if you're new here, welcome, and that's just wanted to explain that if you haven't been on a video with me before. So back to the being that I started with, and I have a little nervous to bring this through, so I have to come clean. So I some time ago, probably a couple of months ago, maybe, when this started coming in, and I was really resistant to it. And large reptilian coming into my awareness, neutral in aspect, but extremely potent energy field. And don't you think I was a little braced for this and thought, well, you might need to leave now. But sitting with it, because what I do when I receive a new being is just feel into it with an open mind. I am protected, and I am very devoted to meditation practices and keeping a very grounded, clear, and heart-filled space, heart aspect. so that I'm channeling, when we talk about channels and, what are you bringing in? You could go anywhere in the fourth dimension and pick up any old thing. Do you really want to sit with that and bring that in and channel it? So just to say, I do have certain discernment parameters and guides who in fact help me with that. But when this being started coming in, I was quite wary and sitting with the energy field and beginning to receive and channel the first time was an overwhelming amount of like, holy smokes, this massive, huge reptilian, like very large, very powerful figure. And I thought, okay, here we go. It said immediately, we don't come to harm. We come to teach and to show. And that's been true from the start. And her name is Jezmet. Yes, okay. Here coming in. It is not so much time to bring her through, I don't think, but just to explain a little bit about her so you have context. Part of what was coming through that first time for me was fear, actually, my own fear. And that, in fact, was one of the reasons she did show up, to show me the greater picture of humanity's how our fear controls us and how what we see in the realms beyond form is somewhat controlled by groupthink. So take the next step here with Jezmet and say she is, as I understand it now, part of a group of Anunnaki. I'm waiting to be booed. Can I hear that? It's channeling the Anunnaki. Yeah, I really wanted to shut this down for a long time. It was going, I had to work with my own belief system to kind of sit with myself and my, our entrenched beliefs and concepts, belief systems, our programming keeps us in certain parameters very much in our behavior and in our lives here in the third density, but also affects what we allow into our awareness. And that's a whole nother, there's so much to that. But just, I had to work with my own belief systems around, we all have them, reptilians. As soon as I said that, what did you do? Bad, yucky, blah, blah, blah. There's a whole, we could make a whole list of what we think about that. And then when I said Anunnaki, what came up for you? I know what came up for me, these bad people who have, they've been controlling humanity for millennia. They've done nothing but harm to the human race and created us as a slave race so they could save themselves. But what she initially wanted to show me was that it will be important for them to know that she's from a group that split off. Ascended aspect of the Anunnaki. They were not on board when times had come, and they wanted to create the humans with a separation consciousness. There are others. You may not like this, but the ascended aspects of the Anunnaki do exist. And she is of this aspect, helping to bring it home now. Challenging belief systems will be important here. Yeah, so very much so with me. And that's important. That's important if we want to open our minds beyond duality into moving toward ascension and unity consciousness, and we have to do that. So meeting my own edge as a channel with my own belief systems has definitely been happening, and I'm grateful for that. Coming back to her and the Anu, she wanted to show how we're trapped by our own fear. We keep the cycle of separation going through the fear mechanism that we have been trained in, but it's almost like the controllers drop the reins, but we continue to sort of ride out the vibration of that because we're so caught in fear-based thinking. So that another, I don't want to make a 5-hour video out of this, but just I feel that's so true and also really important. It is important as the shadow material rises in your world now to look under every stone. If you want to get into the light realms, the age of light, the age of darkness at its most horrific, will eventually need to be revealed, reckoned with, reconciled. And of course, it is not done by keeping it in the dark. So as we're all doing our personal work, our individual clearing and healing work, I know that I've been doing a lot of work with like shadow material. I think that's really up for us personally and also up for us collectively. So true that we can't, it's not just all love and light. It really isn't. And I think there's a lot of bypassing happening when we just kind of skip over the not so pretty aspects of our own lives, which come in as teachers, but also our collective now and the long, millennia making in the story of humanity. It's big. It's big. And when I get these, I'm working on a book with a colleague who's helping me bring through some of the channel material, and the storyline with Jezmet and some other information about the Anunnaki. It is big. It's so big. It's so broad, and it's not necessarily refuting what has the popular information available about them, but revealing a little bit that has been lost. All things as creation codes exist within all things. The seed of creation of source exists in all things. In terms of duality, you would say that nothing is all bad, all light, all bright, all dark. So there's seeds of everything threading through eloquent dance, even of the dark and the light. Complicated, very big picture. So I understand really why all this is coming through, and I'm touching on things that will be hopefully emerging more in other videos. And then of course in the book down the road. So yeah, when these channels come through, I'm just sitting in this very cosmic space looking, I feel like I'm surrounded by millennia, like deer in the headlights, saying, okay, I'm talking to the friend I'm, recording sessions on Zoom for the book to be transcribed. And I'm like, hang on, I just have to sit in space. And it's like minutes go by and I'm just seeing pictures and like cosmic dust and like I don't have linear language always for what's coming through in channel or what I'm being given in vision, let's say first. And then I'm always having to put, it's very difficult, the limits of linear language, English language, putting these broad quantum concepts, multidimensional aspects of the human story and the non-human story, the off-world story, which is so much bigger than we are and that we cannot conceive of with the limits of our language. Language itself can be kind of a limiter. It automatically posits that we are separate from something. We need language to communicate, absolutely. But there's, we could say that the language I receive in vision, the language we all know that is pre-verbal and beyond verbal, is something we feel like we're trying to relearn. We know it. But anyway, I'm circling around through all these things, bringing this all together. But I did have to talk about the being in question here and why I again began to experience the phenomena of seeing through its skin. So more will be revealed about this in time. Jezmet originally appeared to me as a male figure, large male reptilian aspect. And this is so similar to Servani and the Andromedans, is that they function as such a, let's say, literally transparent collective in the upper dimensions, such a they are all communicating in a mind stream that is, it's not one being. They have distinct aspects as individuals, but there is such a we could call it telepathic communication between the group. It's even more advanced than that. There's no language I have for it at this time, but it enables them to have a unique aspect, like her as Jezmet, but to show me others within the group. And I understand with Jezmet why this is happening too, because I know over time with her developed a sense of safety, and I know I'm protected. She can show me other things, and they all come in as if, it's weather floating through. I don't have this big, I had to work with my fear initially, like, what the hell is this? I don't want it in my mind stream. I don't want it in my field. There's a reason for it, but it allows other streams of information or individuals within the whole Anunnaki story to come through so I can see them more clearly, number one, but also that as I experience it, beings in upper dimensions don't always correspond to, of course, the gender binary that we have in third density as humans, male, female. So I say her as I relate now. I do see that with her, there's a more of a feminine aspect, and to be honest, the last session I did with my colleague channeling for the book broke through in this enormous amount of light with Jezmet. I had not seen this before because I wasn't ready. I broke down sobbing. There was so much light, and I saw how these beings had stayed off world. They're an ascended aspect of the Anunnaki, and they feel like pure source energy. When I allow myself to open to it, it is, I want to say, like any other light group. I mean, they go back, take me back right to creation codes into source, and it's just, again, struggle with words, English language words, very powerful. I was overwhelmed with love, like point blank, to be really honest. Yeah, so more to come on that, but I did not mean to speak so much about the Anunnaki and Jezmet. I wanted to talk about the glass pad effect. That is the most fascinating to me. So thanks for listening into all of that. I have a breath here. You people take everything so seriously. Just to say, we have this, true enough, it was a channel. My life as a seer and a channel, and has brought in so much levity, because we get caught in the sort of myopic view of our lives, and myself going through 3D, and I got to make phone calls, and I got to do this thing, and everything is super serious, and we having a much bigger view of the play of the cosmos allows me to really kind of laugh at the whole situation, this human situation that we're in a beautiful way. Like, we're all carrying so much, going through so much right now with our personal stories and clearing that shadow material. But there's a levity. There's a real levity to all of this. I mean, it's all part of the plan. Everything's kind of okay. Going back to pausing, finding her place again. So just sitting quietly a couple mornings ago, asking to see a little bit more about Jezmet and her group, as I had just come through that huge amount of light upwelling, and that really emotional experience I had when I realized that they're light keepers. I mean, there is an aspect still connected to source. Feeling that coming through a little bit too here. It's really beautiful, beautiful presence. And then that's when I started to see this aspect of Jezmet as a being unto herself, but also that I could see with the translucency of her transparency, complete openness, leading into the macroscopic vision vehicle that you can use to see far off places. They have no correlation to your human knowing in your earth-based realm or even your solar system. And this is how we can show you the other worlds, like using a magnifying glass too. It's like it's one part magnifier, a microscope, a macroscope. So when I look through it, I just see this planetary, it's not quite a planet. From the start, I have seen it in this location, if you like, both a location and a other dimensional aspect of where this smaller group of the Anunnaki has been staying, living. It's a rubbly realm. It seems like a consciousness into itself. I see no water in this area, no water, a lot of vapor, a lot of like vaporous material, off-world substances, no human words, no languages, no nouns. Like, I don't want to say quite fire explosions, but there's a lot of activity of atmospheric activity on the surface of this. It's like a craft, it's like a planet, it's like almost like a place that shelters them as they move through linear and nonlinear space beyond, it's like beyond our galaxy. It's like hovering, watching, also traveling in some sense. Of course, they're beings of consciousness, but seeing into their world, the place that they call home, in a sense, will give you more information and perspective in time about what's been happening with humanity and where these human beings have been. Human beings, that's interesting. Beings are like people, they're not so separate from you. I kind of call all the off-world beings people. Yeah, I mean, they're not humans in our sense per se, but they are, and not to anthropomorphize, but they do have a sentient and extremely conscious and intelligence that is way beyond what I can fathom. It is way beyond human comparison. And keep drawing us back into the story. I wasn't thinking I would bring in so much of far off perspective. But the place where they've been living or staying also is a conscious craft that helps shelter them in as they move through space without an orbit or without what you have on the Earth plane comparable to magnetosphere. They don't necessarily have that. That was the original problem with the Anunnaki. So this sort of landscape that is hovering, not in an orbit. I don't sense it's in any kind of orbit. It's not static either. So if that's confusing, more will be to come. It's not a little bit of an anomaly, but everything is once you leave the aspects of known scientific study, which is limited by the technologies you have commonly at your disposal. So, fair enough. I'm pausing to see what else will come through as I look through this, the transparent, translucent aspect of her body. Oh, okay, wow, yeah. So the beings in other dimensions are often deeply wed with their craft. You might call it a planet, but it's just saying where they stay. Keep hearing that. Where they stay is within a craft, or in some cases on the surface of what we might call a planet. Those terms are a bit limited and not quite precise, but they're close. The beings are so wed to their environment. It's the only way they have to survive. And in fact, it's how they evolved together. So there's quite in a way we could compare that to humans being quite, especially now, very separate from our Earth environment. We're not being connected to Earth and the elements right now. I know there's lots of energetic pulling us back into that, because that is part of our reconnection with the Gaia is so needed now to heal ourselves and our relationships and this planet. Of course. So maybe that's one of the teachings of this is like we too have to be, we've lost connection there, and that can come home. But they couldn't survive without it. And in fact, there's a consciousness to the planetary craft, if you like, where they're in it's part of them, they are part of it. And there's, again, we would say kind of a telepathy in which they're using to connect with the creation energy of their surroundings all the time. And this was true in Servani case on the Andromeda galaxy. They're part of that galaxy that I was seeing this particular group in. So they're completely wed with the environment and the consciousness of what you would call matter, planetary matter. It's not, is it land? Apologize, I'm stumbling a little with the language barrier or the language limits, let's say. So it's checking in again if there's anything else that wants to come through, or are we finished? It might be enough for today. So numerical values coming through, just long strings of numbers. I see them in, it's like our number system, but that is just sort of too limited. There's more to the numerological mathematical sequencings of what is appearing. It relates to creation and mathematical universal structures. This is how what you know as matter is created, maintained, dissolved. It's a real sense of calm space when I look actually through this aspect of her. I just keep calling it the glass pad aspect, and the macroscope. Yeah, definitely no sun there. No sun, no solar aspect. So to us, that sounds like a very cold place and a very unwelcoming. And in fact, yeah, humans would die in a second. But it's just a very calm, non-biased place. Just there's no, that's because it's not locked into either or, good, bad, right, wrong, black, white. The binary of duality does not exist here. Do you see what we're talking about? Where separation, consciousness exists and where it doesn't. This is just a small sliver. That is enough. So, yeah. Okay. I think that's enough for today. Thank you. I'm, sitting with these really big energies, and once I'm looking into this massive, the story of millennia, it's a lot of energy coming through me, and I can definitely feel that. So it's grounding and stabilizing, and actually bringing in a lot of light with this channeling and this transmission and this seeing today. And I hope that conveys. Just giving a little pause there. A lot of information, and I sense too. There's always information within the information. So the English language words convey one thing, and definitely the verbalization, linear languaging that I brought through on this channel today, the Sirius Blue channel, video, yes, but then there's also the more elegant subtext can be contained in spaces between words, beyond words, beneath words, codes that humans are beginning to wake up to. There's a whole wisdom stream that is, I feel it energetically, I don't have words for it, it's an inrush of energy. As you begin to look into the cosmic knowing realms, you begin to wake them up in you. So there's a little bit of an attunement, if you like, coming through. And I hope that conveys to you. Above all, that's what I want to bring in. And I know this is probably, it was to me, a very different perspective. So speaking openly of my own challenges and bringing through and, reptilian energy. And I want to leave us with that, I'm not going to negate any of the, the dark timeline stuff that's associated with the reptilians, because that is so there. I'm not saying it's not. All the things we know about the cabal, yes, not refuting that. But, just there are very much like a Draco, ascended Draco aspects, ascended aspects of a lot of the reptilian families. And there's a reason that I'm being led to that. Well, why has this come up into our awareness as a reptilian? Where does that come from? Where are we going with that? What does it have to do with the reptilian aspect of a lot of off-world beings? So coming up in a video down the road, I'm sure. Thank you for listening in today. Thank you for your open minds. And you can always book one-on-one sessions with me for readings and channeling and light language on my website, RebeccaRoseBarfoot.com. And most of all, just thanks for tuning in. Bless you all. Bye-bye for now.